if we had to start our labs from scratch, some of the equipment that you would need, progesterone, stuff like that, it's me, your boy, Double Muscle on Bulls, Bulky Built. Today we had to start a lab all over again. The equipment that we need, the equipment that we use when it comes to dog breeding. Stay tuned, you're not going to want to miss this episode of Briefs.
I got you right now. What's going on, Bully fam?
So what's going on, bro? So we got a special guest with us all the way up here, up north. Bulky Built, I Bulldogs. So he came through, he's checking out the lab. So I thought this would be a cool episode to talk about, like, if we're starting from scratch, what are the key things that you would need to be able to do your own testing at home? You know, your own kind of mini lab, you could say. Not some of the stuff was acquired at the time. Stuff. Yeah, the basics, you know. If you had to start from scratch, and I'll give my take on stuff too.
Basic first thing would be, I'd probably say a progesterone machine. I'd invest in a progesterone machine. Yeah. And I'm gonna tell you why. Working in the vet, progesterone test can go anywhere from $80 all the way up to about $160 a pop.
Yeah.
I don't know how much a machine costs. I think about 3 G's for the whole kit and boodle, something like that.
Yeah.
For a few bucks a test. So I know that sounds like a lot, but I mean, think about it. When you test a dog, say you test her 4 times, maybe even 3, that's $600. If it's $200, if it's $100, say $100 a pop, that's $300. So you do 10 females, you just pay for the test yourself. You pay for your own machine.
No, it's true. And honestly, I think I did the math. Now that's if you're doing just a regular progesterone. Now let's say you're doing reverse progesterone because you're timing for your C-sections. Yeah, you cut that in half. Yeah, you know, like at least to me, I do on average, I would say, because I always like to get a baseline. I like to be ahead of the curve. So I'm usually doing it between like 3 and 4 progesterone tests. So I did the math. I think it's like if you do anything more than I think like maybe like 5 breedings, the machine pays for itself.
I mean, I can see that. I mean, I think that's a must. Everything that goes along with it. Now, I use some different things because of my personal preferences. You know, when it comes to the machine, I like serum separators where you use the other stuff. I prefer serum separators. So for me, the next step would be, centrifuge. That's why I like the way I do it, because now I can use the centrifuge to spin semen if I need to.
Yeah.
And I can use it to.
So you use a big one.
Yeah. So I can also use it for making serum for puppies, making serum for eye issues. So it's a multi-purpose thing. So I would have the centrifuge for my progesterone machine, but I wouldn't, I know that you guys, I'm not trying to be a prick, but that little one, this one. I'm not a big fan of it because I've noticed that when you do this little one, you get a lot of coagulation issues. That knot or that jelly.
So what you like to do is collect more blood.
Yes.
Because that's the one, like, other side of it is that when you use the big centrifuge, you got to collect more blood, though.
Yeah. I mean, I can get 3 cc's like nothing. I don't know. This ain't my lab, so...
what are you talking about?
Like a regular 3 cc tube. I prefer to use that with serum separators. And I know people are going to be like, well, the serum separators affect in the veterinarian practice, they use serum separators. I'm telling you to use. If you have a Toso machine, we used to use serum separators.
Got you.
Not the blanks, because different colored tops mean something different. There's a green top, there's a purple top, there's a red top, there's a red with the yellow lines in it. Yeah. There's different things for different meanings. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And I prefer that. The next thing I would definitely say would be a microscope.
Yeah.
Because that way you can know if your semen is good.
I'll just chime in real quick, and I'll say, I would say, because being on the other end of the spectrum, as far as being the seller, I sell this stuff now, not only using it, but the number one thing people tell me is when they get their progesterone machine, this is the best money I could have invested in.
It is.
I saved so much money going, instead of having to go to the vet. I do my own progesterone.
It's not even that you save so much money. So if you have a full-time job and you're doing dogs, you don't have the time to get off, go to home, pick up the dog, take it to the vet, take the dog back home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because not a lot of veterinarians just let you walk in with a vial of blood. Not every time you.
No, you're right. Because I went to my vet one time, before I would try to bring the blood there, and I don't know if it was a few things, but I think one of the things too is I don't know, they were acting funny. They were almost just bring the dog because the blood, it's just I don't know. They were trying to say something that they were just having a hard time. Yeah,
they were trying to say it was no good, but the thing is when you collect blood, I don't know if somebody's gonna come on here and say I'm wrong, but I know when we would collect blood at the veterinary clinic that I worked at, we would let the blood sit for 15 minutes before we spin it. It has to coagulate before you spin it. A lot of people are like, well, I only live 15 minutes away. No, we need the dog. From what? I got the blood from the dog.
Exactly. Yeah.
I don't have to stress the dog driving it back and forth.
Well, or better yet, I went to the vet, and when I went to go get a simple progesterone test done, because I was out of strips, I bring back kennel cough to my whole yard. That was a nightmare.
But see, to me, it's just more convenient because if you work nights, you don't want to get up first thing in the morning and go to the vet. If you work a day shift, 8 to 5 or 8 to 4, you got to rush home, get the dog to make it back to the vet before it closes. So this is more of a convenience thing. So now, and you can test more because it's your money. As in, like, all right, so I don't know the test box. We'll just say it's $100.
Yeah.
There's 10 trips, 10
tests, yeah.
In one box, that's $10 a test. You can test the damn dog every day for 10 days, and it's still only going to cost you $100. The same price one test would have cost you at the vet.
Exactly.
And that way you're more accurate.
Yep.
And you know, when I first got the machine, my wife would tell you, bro, like I needed to learn the machine.
Yes.
So I test the dog the entire way through to see if the jumps were going to be there. Care about wasting the test. It's $100, the same price that I was going to spend for one.
Yeah, you got 10.
So it's just a lot more convenient. And like you said, you can use it for reverse progesterones. So now, all right, I know I can safely go to work because she's a 17.
So now, recently, just this week alone, I've had 2 Mastiff breeders contact me. Oh no, I'm sorry, she does Great Danes, and then the other one, he does the African Borbles. And both of them told me, like, moving forward now, they are absolutely doing reverse progesterones because all it took was for one puppy to get stuck, the rest die. Now they're going to the vet getting a C-section, and the vet is charging them the same price as if they would have went in for a normal C-section anyway. So they're like, at this point,
well, yeah, you can safely go to work. So you do a reverse progesterone, say she's a 17 or an 18. You know that you can go to work for that day.
Exactly.
You don't have to stay home and watch her, or you don't have to take her to the vet. I mean, it does a lot more. Them just simple numbers help you so much. You did show me that this machine can do more tests than progesterone. We just never looked into it because we didn't want to. But the machine does do more than just progesterone.
The number one thing, investing in a progesterone machine if you want to do your own, I guess you could say reproduction or something like that for your dog. So you said number 2 for you would be the microscope.
For me, I prefer the actual centrifuge.
So you would choose a centrifuge over the large centrifuge over
because
the microscope?
So I know you can get them. They're not super expensive.
Yeah, that's true.
But I know I can serum, can save an eye, can save a puppy. I know I needed to spin because I use serum separators.
Yeah.
So I need that because these are too small.
You have that.
And these are frustrating for me. I was like, oh man, they're just super frustrating. And there's nothing wrong with them.
Yeah.
They're just super frustrating. You got to keep putting it in the freezer, the little piece, put it in the freezer so it freezes it up a little bit, and then spin it again to get that little fat out. Because there's nothing worse than, for me, a lot of people are like, oh man, you tried. But now I got to wait 6 months.
Yeah.
I could have looked at a semen, know it was no good.
Yeah.
Then I could have just said, you know what? This is what I want to do her next breeding. I'm going to have to use him this time because this dude's semen's no good.
Well, yeah, when you think about it with the microscope, especially what I use it for now, that's huge. Like, if you want to open up your dog for stud and you don't even know if his semen is good, playing in dangerous waters because all it takes is someone to bring it to their vet and the vet look at the semen that you ship to them, it could ruin your reputation in your
There's so much more you can do with it.
Exactly. So
you can do ear mites. Yep. You can, the same thing with this machine can do more than progesterone. And once we learn how to use this machine for more than progesterone, its weight is even more important. Like a T3, T4 on this machine. That'd be dope. Because now we know if our dog has thyroidism or something.
That's what I heard that they have for thyroid. They have thyroid tests for it and stuff. But for the microscope, like you said, another thing that I do
ear mites. You can check for Demodex mange. You can, and these are the things that you can learn. And it will save you vet visits where I know that we'll just say like a sonogram machine. It is an absolute great tool to have, but we can get a relaxing test.
Yeah.
To see if the dog is physically pregnant. Now, it would be dope to see if she is pregnant and you'd be like, oh, I see the bubbles, I see the heartbeat. That's cool, but I can do a relaxing test and see if she's pregnant, or I can legitimately just wait 60 days and see if her stomach's big. Now, this is good for, say, pios.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Or, bladder stones, stuff like that. Back to the microscope, what I've been using it for religiously now, other than the semen, I run my vaginal cytologies side by side with my progesterone testing now. I got a whole box right there of dogs that are for example, I'll look at one female and I'll see how the cells start to change and develop, and then I cross-reference with my PG, and usually if I'm doing them side by side, it really helps me paint a bigger picture of what's going on with the dog. So
this thing, you can learn how to fecal smears on it. You can do ear to see if it has with or without rods, ear infections. You can do skin scrapes to see if your dog's had Demodex mange.
Yeah, semen evaluations.
Yeah, semen evaluations, cytologies.
Even that slide right there, right? I have these slides. Those slides are actual chambered slides. So those slides have these little grids etched in on them, right? Yeah. And basically you count how many sperm cells you see within that grid, and then you multiply it by a certain certain amount, and it actually gives you the sperm count per ml.
Gotcha.
You know, that's the old way of doing it.
Yeah.
So, like, when it comes to the microscope, I agree. I think that would probably be my second thing.
But once you learn how to use this machine, the microscope, to do just at least more than just semen, like, oh, I can look and see if you got swimmers or not. Man, you can use it to do like cytologies, or you can use it to see, you know, your parasites, your worms. You know, when I say a fecal smear, you can see you hookworms and roundworms on it. You know what I'm saying? You can see that on there. Yeah. Or you can see ear mites. You can see Demodex mange on it. You dip them. And you, you do stuff like this, and then you let them dry. You know what I mean? Yep. And this, you can do a whole lot with that. Where like a sonogram machine is dope. TCI machine is absolutely dope to have, but does a very similar thing. Now, granted, that is more accurate. Where this, I can get more uses out of it.
Yeah,
that's 100%.
What I would say. I think I use my progesterone machine the most. I think I use my microscope the most. I'm just trying to think, like, maybe what's the last thing that I could honestly say that if I had to start from scratch, what I would like invest in as far as like,
it'd be a Plum's book for me. But you know, not necessarily just a Plum's book. It'd be a book on medication.
Yeah, let's say books. That's probably what I would invest in next. I would say for trying to do my own reproduction, like trying to breed my own dogs and minimize vet visits, I would say, progesterone machine would be one with an appropriate centrifuge. The progesterone machine with the mini centrifuge. Then I would get the large centrifuge, and then number 3 would be the microscope, and like honorable mention would be books after that at that point.
The endoscope or TTI machine, ultrasound machine, they are great things to have on hand. Yeah. If you legitimately have 3 or 4K to just not waste,
that's
to
like
invest.
You
know what I'm saying? But for the same $3,000 or $4,000, I probably would go get the Sony A7 with the camera. Yeah, like I would get the A7 before I got them, because that will be multifaceted for me, because I can take pictures of the dogs. I can do stuff like this. I can use it for my family, or stuff for family as well. And then it would be the books at the same time, because you can. The books are important. I mean, you can go on Amazon and find them used. I will tell you, I'm going to give a little bit of a gem right now. There is Facebook groups for used veterinarian used veterinarian books. I buy a lot of them off of there.
Yeah, when he says products, he means like books and textbooks and stuff like that.
So you can go in there and buy like used books. You don't have to buy them all brand new. Yeah. I mean, brand new, they're going to be like $100 and some. Used, you can get them for like $20.
Another thing to mention, so I think our top 3 is similar. It would be like, obviously having the progesterone machine, microscope, centrifuge, having some books, right? So that then, like, what's helped me is having books that I have for reference.
Well, not only that, a lot of people, they question, hey man, are you sure? Yeah, here you can read it yourself. Boom. Yep. Like I just showed you. Hey, this is another way of using that medicine.
Yeah, whatever the case may be. Or yet again, like one of the books we were looking at, the parasitology. So now I have a book on parasites. So now when I do a skin scraping and I put it on the microscope, I know what I'm looking at. I have a book on ultrasound. So when I'm using my ultrasound machine and I've never done an ultrasound before, I know what I'm looking at. I guess honorable mention, I would say, is people sleep on getting a scale. I like that's what he said earlier, but it's so true,
because there's meds that are like, I have a lot of people who get like piles and they'll call me and I'll be like, hey, veterinarian, don't ask me a dosage, but tell them, hey, I hear that there's a remedy for a closed pyometriate using Ludolase. And the reason I say that particular medicine is because that medicine is extremely sensitive to weight. And if you come in, she's 110 pounds. She show up and you're like, oof, she's 110 pounds, like I'm 7 foot tall. Yeah. And a lot of people, I don't know what it is, but they think their dogs are larger than what they are. So if I give your dog, say Ludolase, for 110 pounds, and that son of a bitch only 80 pounds, you're gonna shit her uterus out.
Just the aspect of like, even just having that scale, just monitoring weights. You have a pregnant female, or you have a sickly dog, or whatever the case it may be.
I mean, they're cheap enough, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, listen, even if you've got to go to Walmart and go old school, you get on it.
Yeah, that's what I did before I got the nice fancy scale.
Yeah. And that's what we did for years, and it was because like there's certain medicines that you need to know an exact weight on. Yep. And then there's certain medicines like a Safeguard or a Panicure that if you read the book that says you can exceed up to 10 times the dose. That's what the textbook answer said. I don't recommend it, but then ivermectin. If you overdose on ivermectin, it can have a long-term effect. See what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's the things, like certain medicines, you kind of got to be closer to what they say. And that's where, you know, a scale, even a $20 scale from Walmart, where you get on the scale with the dog and then get off the dog.
Yep.
It will help you because it will help you with your dosing.
Yeah, and actually, I think this is probably the last honorable mention I'll make also. A thermometer. Something so cheap as a thermometer.
Yeah, that's a good one.
To be able to check if your dog has a fever.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's a huge one, because not only for the fevers, but what if you're trying to time if your female's gonna have puppies? Like we said, I think the progesterone machine is probably the most expensive thing, but everything else
is cheap. Like for me, you can get a heating pad that does not turn off. They're hard to find. You're gonna have to order.
You can get them on Breeders' Hacks too.
Oh, really? I didn't know. But the other one would be thermometer, scale. Those just little tiny things, man. They make a huge difference. Oh, a puppy scale, a gram scale. So a lot of times people were like, oh man,
that's huge. Actually, that's really important.
We're 3 days in. The puppy, it ain't gaining no weight. All right, well, what was it born at? What you mean? How much did it weigh when it was born?
When they're first born,
you need grams or ounces. You know what I'm saying? So
I do grams.
You know, the thing is if a dog's gonna lose weight day one.
Yeah,
they always do because of water weight and stuff like that. But if you're day 4 and you're not gaining any weight, I got some bad news. Gonna die. Know that so you can like feed the puppy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree.
And they're literally, I mean, bro, you can go to Walmart or you can go to breedershack.com.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm just saying, you can get. They're very small things that can save lives in the fact that they're cheap.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Listen, I know people who own barbershops who bought that because he breeds dogs. He's like, it's the best spray bar because you just hold the button down.
Yep.
You ain't gotta, you know, like some of them, like you gotta pump them up and then it keeps going.
Yeah.
This, it's like automatic. I like it. It's pretty dope.
Disinfecting, right? Having a proper disinfectant, like that's another huge one. Like that's some of the stuff. Like I guess the moral of the story is like you don't have to go super fancy. Like yes, I like having an ultrasound machine, but I didn't get one till way later. You know, I was like you said, we did the relaxin test. You know, all those other fancy stuff like, you know, freezing, liquid nitrogen and all that. But in all actuality...
Not necessary.
Yeah, in the beginning...
Not in the beginning, and you don't need it to survive. Your TCI machine, I don't need it to survive. The ultrasound machine, I don't need it to survive as a breeder. But progesterones, I need it to survive. Scope here, microscope, I don't necessarily need it to survive, but that is definitely, if I can learn how to use it, like a veterinarian, when it comes to ear mites, when it comes to skin scraping, when it comes to fecals, when it comes to cytology, I mean, that's 5 or 4 things right there that it could save me a vet visit. Yeah, and those are going to, exactly like you said, it's going to save you vet visits, and those things are things that can like make or break you in the sense that you're going, say you get a female in a split heat, you're getting a progesterone test after progesterone test after progesterone test, it can really set you back financially, you know? I mean, I had a female who went to a split heat for 3 weeks, so I think you're 100% right in that aspect. So that's what this is all about, guys. We didn't want to go super crazy fancy. We wanted to give you guys what we felt was going to be the essentials. Then afterwards, you get the essentials, then go crazy and spend all your money at breedershacks.com. But anyway, guys, as always, hope this information was helpful. Hope it was useful. If you have any further questions on any products we talked about, yet again, make sure you guys check us out at breedershacks.com. Appreciate it, man.